expectations that our black women have of us. That's a struggle every day.
Expectation of. I'm like, what expectation?
Expectations of what we should do are unfortunately that there's this picture of in their template of what a man should do or what a man is supposed to be a lot of times, and I see a lot of my friends go through that, like especially if they have a father in the household, you know, their man should live up to what their daddy does. Just like there's some men who feel like their woman should be like live up to the same standard of their mom. You know what I mean? Like, but it's just.
So are you talking about financially or?
Yeah, we can't do the 50s again.
Or my daddy used to fix my car, or my daddy used to check my oil. It's different now.
I see.
You know, it's different now because now a lot of people have AAA. You know, a lot of men don't know how to change a tire. A lot of men don't know how to put on a tie. A lot of men don't know how to do things that were. Yeah, the generation has changed. So now a lot of men don't do a lot of the things that back in the day, the older men used to do. But at the same time, we don't have a lot of their problems that they used to have.
Like they didn't have Jiffy Lube on every corner, so they obviously.
Okay. You know? But at the same time, they not fighting with their wife, making them feel some type of way just because their wife making more money than them, and that's actually that's a big issue.
Oh,
in the past.
okay.
You know, I ain't got
So what does that feel like as far as that expectation? What does that feel when you don't meet that expectation for a black man?
For me, I mean, I it's hard to explain. I have a very solid foundation and confidence in myself, I guess. I don't even know if it's confidence. I'm just comfortable with who I am, I guess. But as far as expectations and what men should be, and I don't even adhere to gender norms. You probably know that already because I said I cried,
right?
You know, when I was sad,
and that's okay.
Yeah, but I don't even adhere to gender norms. So if anybody, and this hasn't happened, but if any woman that I was interested in or that was interested in me ever approached me with you have to, mark these check marks of being a man to, be my. I wouldn't even entertain it because I know what I know who I am. I know what I could do. I'm pretty comfortable with that. I'm obviously going to learn throughout life, but I don't know if norms really. I don't give a damn what you expect. This is what I am.
I mean, you're a little different.
Yeah.
So I want to ask Clyde this question.
Yeah. I'm clearly.
Clyde, what would you say if you're married now, so did you have a conversation with your wife about that? Did you guys figure that out before you were married? Because you said expectations. I want to know.
It's crazy because it's funny because when me and my wife first got together, money was everything to me. I felt like I needed to make this certain amount of money. I needed to make this certain amount of money. I needed to hold on one second. Yeah, I needed to make a certain amount of money, and we needed to do this, and that before we got married. And the reason being is because I always felt that if you basically, I before my wife, I dealt with women, and the big problem was when I came up, all I saw was women making money. My dad had a job, but my mom had a better job. And it's always been like that from uncles to aunties. The women were the breadwinners. So when it came to making big money, after college, after playing football and everything like that, I became a guard, a security guard, and I didn't really have a vision of what I was supposed to do next. Like, how am I supposed to make this money? Because I've always seen a man with a basic job, like, and I didn't really have a blueprint set out for me. Yeah, I could go to school, but school wasn't necessarily for me at the time. So I was in a relationship, and I was dating a woman, and it was my high school sweetheart, and her family told her that I was never going to be anything besides a guard, or like, this is my ceiling.
Wow.
This is my ceiling.
So would you say that was her expectations, or you had expectations for yourself, which made you feel like, you weren't, I don't know, enough? Yeah.
Well, no, it was her expectation, because eventually that became the end of our relationship, because, I was working, she was graduating, and after she graduated, it was just like, this is where you're going to be, and you're not trying to excel above this. And that's what happened. Like, we broke up because I was not financed. I was not secure. I couldn't give that. I couldn't give a security. So,
right.
I guess in a sense it was some type of a trauma, because when I got with my wife, I thought that was something I had to do. I had to figure it out.
Right.
And
you got that weight.
And still to this day, I still struggle with it. But now that, my wife knows, because she's a therapist too, and she kind of made it easier for me, like, just to realize, even if we was living in a cardboard box, she'd ride for me. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
it just made things better,
But you said you said a key thing, and you said that in your next relationship, that trauma followed you, and you automatically thought like, oh, she's gonna have a problem if I don't, have my money right or have my money together. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. If you don't deal with that trauma, it's gonna follow you wherever you go, no matter who the person is that you date. But I mean, luckily for you, you were able to work through that. But that brings me to another point that I was asking, like, some of my male friends, like, what are some of the things Black men struggle with emotionally, and careers, not having your career together and not having that vision for yourself, or if you're not meeting your own expectations of where you thought you would be at this age, like, that can be, devastating to a Black man and affect their mood and everything. So, Lawrence, do you have any situations like that, or have you ever dealt with that?
Yeah, for career struggle, yeah. I have, and I know, like, I got some boys, we was talking, he was like, man, we supposed to be, he was like, I'm supposed to be making $100,000. I was like, you're 24 and you have no ties to anybody. Like, where did you think that was going to happen?
Yeah.
So I think, but a lot of it we just create. Like, a lot of it we just make up based on what we've heard, or based on, like, the life we've seen. One of my friends, he tried to use Roddy Ricch as a model for success.
Oh,
and there's this one in a million. Like, he is a great artist. Like, Roddy Ricch, I like Roddy Ricch a lot, but the chances of him, like, rising the way he has and doing, like, that's an astronomical anomaly.
Yeah, that's
like,
not
there's
common.
no way you're replicating that.
Right.
So I think we make kind of
you put extra pressure on yourself.
Yeah, by creating, just not like creating it. And it's a social thing. Like, I didn't graduate in 4 years, so I'm doing bad, or I only make $18
It sounds like
an hour.
comparing.
Exactly.
Comparing.
Yeah.
That will make you feel like what you're doing is not enough.
Yeah. I'm not enough because
right.
I don't have XYZ.
Is it comparing, or is it just you set a standard for yourself, or you set a goal for yourself, and you're disappointed in yourself because you didn't meet that?
It has to be comparing, because the standard you set is based
coming
on
from something else.
So it's comparing. Like, sure, it could be a standard that you set, but you didn't make it out of thin air. You made it because you seen these people and you were like, all right, I want to do that. So it's comparing.
Okay.
I mean, offer your perspective, because if you disagree, go ahead.
Because it's just like, man, I plan to have this, I plan to have that, and when things fall through, you're like, dang, my plan didn't go as planned. So we do have expectations of ourselves because we are our biggest supporters, we are our biggest fans, and if we don't uplift our own personal self and say that I believe in myself, I could do this, I could do that, then goals won't be achieved. So when those goals aren't achieved and you work hard to get to where you are, but it's still not where you're supposed to be, I don't think there's anything wrong with, like for instance, like I felt like I should have had a house by now, but at the same time, I may be tough on myself, like, I should have my own house right now, but at the same time, my family's straight, we straight, and my family happy, so that's what keeps me not being too hard on myself, because but that was my goal. My goal is to be in the house by Thursday. Yeah, but
you can't. I think it's important because some people are their biggest supporters, and then some people are their biggest
haters.
Yeah. So it really just depends on like where you are, like mentally.
Right, because you can stop yourself from accomplishing your goals by being negative and being like, dang, since I didn't do it, like I'm never gonna do it. I'm never gonna. You get stuck in that mentality, and it can prevent you from reaching your goals because you're doubting yourself every step of the way. Yeah. And like when you don't accomplish a goal, I feel like too, that's traumatic too, because it's like it's a big disappointment. People think that trauma is just like something like physical that happened or something that happened on the outside, but it could be internal, it could be emotional, and emotional trauma, letting yourself down, thinking that you need to be here by a certain age and you're not there, and you felt like you did everything you could. That can be an emotional trauma, and it could, eat at you, and some people get discouraged and give up, like you said, you could be your own biggest enemy. Yeah. So that's a good, I like how you two are not agreeing on stuff because I like to see the difference because, a lot of black men think like Clyde, and a lot of black men think like you. Yeah. So that's good to have. I wanted to ask about peer influence and like being around your boys and like, because I won't say I've dated a lot of guys. That sounds bad, but I have a lot. I have male friends, and like, they don't talk with their boys like about stuff that's bothering them. Like they just, we just was smoking and we didn't say nothing. You know what I'm saying? Or we was just drinking, we was talking about sports or whatever. It's like with girls, it's like we always talk about our emotions. Yeah. We always share, what we're going through. So I wanted to ask like about what is that like as black men, being around your boys, being around your homies, like why don't you guys, talk about your emotions, and if you have, like, how has that gone? You
want to start me or Clyde?
I'll let you start this one.
So this is an area that I know I teeter way off the edge. Mm-hmm. Like with other stuff, I'm like, it's rare, kind of, but not really. But this, I'm definitely different. With my friends, like my closest friends, we talk about literally everything. Like instances where they felt like disrespected or discouraged or whatever. One of my friends, like years ago, he told me, he was like, nah, man, I can't, I'm too dumb to graduate college. Like, I was like, don't you ever say nothing stupid like that again. Like,
right.
That's not true. Mm-hmm. But in other circles, I've seen where it's just like a superficial, the homie come over, we kick it, we smoke, we play 2K and leave. Like, that isn't a friendship to me. That's just like, you just know somebody.
Right.
But a friendship to me, which is kind of rare, is like going through life with that person, helping them, talking to them, sharing. Like, bro, a couple of days ago, one of my friends got rejected the meanest rejection I've ever seen in my life.
Oh man!
And we talked about it after. He was like, obviously we weren't crying or nothing, but he was like, man, like
he was hurt. Like, he was hurt.
He was stuck for a little bit. Like he's just on the couch, like, oh man. But that kind of stuff, I feel like we have to talk to if we're gonna be friends. Mm-hmm. If we're just gonna be like associates, whatever. But I feel like that's kind of superficial, and I've seen that a lot in a lot of groups.
Okay, Clyde, I'm ready for your perspective.
Like when it comes to kicking it with the homeboys and stuff like that, I don't really tell them too much of my plans.
Okay.
Because it's just because I'm not even gonna lie. I've always been hated. When it came to like somebody's always trying to put their 2 cents in, or when you sit down, like I've done it before. We talk about maybe going back to school, or start working and going back to school, and but just I really don't discuss too many plans with too many people. Like I'll discuss it with Lawrence. I talk to Lawrence about some things, but it's just unfortunately from where we from, it's just it's like crabs in a barrel. Like it just seems like every time somebody come up, or you got this, you got that, it's just. It's unfortunate that you kind of have to be careful with telling your plans, because if you tell your plans, it's just like people will put their 2 cents in, and it can deter your confidence of how confident you were before you had the conversation with them. Because in your head, I see A, B, and C, and they trying to switch up your whole idea of what you had going on in the first place, or to tell you why you can't do it. So it's a lot of times, I just heard, I was always taught to make your move silently when it comes about certain things. Like we could talk about things like, how to be a better father, or how to be, how to deal with your baby mama. Yeah, I definitely help you out with that. But when it comes to making plans on me making moves, and when money talk,
goals.
we're not discussing that.
Do you talk about your feelings? Like not necessarily goals, but like how this made you feel?
No.
I knew it.
We don't.
The way he laughed, he was like, "Nah."
They don't take it serious.
We don't sit in our circle talking about our feelings.
You can laugh, but hey, that is
like
builds camaraderie.
Like for example, like when you went through that breakup with your high school sweetheart, like did you talk to your homeboys about it, or were you just like, you know what, I'm gonna just get through it by myself? Like
it's so funny you mentioned that. So I never forget. So when the homie found out, well, my old roommate found out. So I pulled up or whatever. I pulled up at the liquor store, and he seen me get out the store. True story. He seen me. He said, "Oh, you sad, cuz."
Oh, dang.
You alright, cuz? You sad? Oh. And he said, "Man, you ain't even dressing right." I'm like, bro, we in public.
Yeah.
So you didn't like that.
I'm cool.
That's the kind of energy I would have cut off. Like, I ain't even gonna entertain that.
So they kind of make a mockery out of when men share their emotions with each other.
But in a crazy way, it's just like it's just in a way. I don't know. I just it kind of make you tough. Like, yeah, all right, you kick me while I'm down, okay. Well, I'm gonna get back up, and I'm not gonna be down again. I'm not gonna be down. I'm not gonna put myself in this position again. and you're not gonna you're not gonna have the luxury to laugh about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So I'm not a mental health. I don't really know anything about mental health, but I do know a lot about sociology, like obviously, and the social component of that. So there's this thing called a stereotype threat, which is like, if you, like, okay, let's say a person loves grape Kool-Aid, but they're black. So you don't want to be like the black dude to drink grape Kool-Aid. So you intentionally avoid it. So like, oh yeah, I want cherry or whatever. So you are like avoiding the threat of being a stereotype. So I think it's kind of a catch-22 because with stereotypes and with like racism and dehumanization, not only from police, but from everybody. But I'll use police as an example. Like an officer, they see you as more of a threat than your white counterpart.
Right.
I think in a way, we burden ourselves because not dealing with these things, not showing that, like, man, I'm a person too. This hurts. I'm sad right now. Like, I think not showing that kind of like furthers their, see, I told you he wasn't like us. Like, see, I told you he wasn't, you know, he doesn't show emotion the same. They don't feel this pain the same as us. And
because that's what you're expected to do.
Yeah, but that's not our responsibility. That's just racism. But I think it's a catch-22 because if we don't show that strength, quote unquote, then we're kind of still in that box. Like we're dehumanized on both fronts.
And like Clyde was saying, it almost sounds like he's protecting himself from experiencing that again.
Yeah.
So it's not that, you know, you learn to toughen up. You just learn how to protect yourself from feeling that emotion again. Right, yeah. And that's what people do that, you know, go through traumatic situations over and over again. They don't even tell anybody anything because it's like they don't trust anybody.
Right.
They've already been burned a few times. So it's like it's easier for me to just not open up to anybody, not trust anybody, than to put myself out there and risk feeling that pain again.
Yeah.
So I see that. I see that. Oh man.
You're correct.
But I wanted to ask, how do black men unlearn that? And what's the first step to, you know, unlearning that, you know, just tough exterior all the time, 24/7? How do you?
There's a lot. Personality has a lot.
Years. Oh, go ahead.
Personality just has a lot of like influence, honestly, because people like me, if somebody were to like abuse my vulnerability, like they've tried to in the past, if somebody tries to do that again, I'm not going to change who I am or how I express myself. I'm going to change who I express myself with. So I wouldn't, because there's some people that would like go to a cocoon and like, I'm never doing this again. But really personality plays a lot because you can't teach, like if I'll fall in love 100 times, get my heart broken 100 times and then just be grateful for the experience.
Right.
But other people won't do that. So
but I think I'm gonna interject right there because I feel like some people aren't even aware that they're dealing with their trauma in this way.
That's true, yeah.
Right? So sometimes I get clients and when I point out their patterns in their behavior, they're like, oh dang, like I didn't even realize I was doing that.
Right.
And some people are open to changing it and some people aren't.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess that's where that comes in. But also I feel like some black men too are like, well, this is how I'm supposed to act. You know what I'm saying?
Right, yeah.
I'm not even aware that I'm supposed to be vulnerable with certain people. Like I thought this is how we're supposed to be. So yeah, I just
it wasn't taught. Nobody like told me to do that. That's just something that I believed should be done.
Right.
But I don't know if unlearning would just have to be like seeing examples, I think.
Okay.
But for actually like instituting that, because I can know what to do and still choose not to do it.
Right.
But I think unlearning is examples, but to actually do it and actually like be vulnerable is going to take action, and that's a personality thing.
Okay.
It's crazy because I feel like when people like continuous trauma, like he said, like he'll get his heart broken 100 times or whatever.
And run back
like if he got his heart, if you got your heart broken 100 times, then that's like 100 bags you bringing into the 100th one relationship that you're dealing with a person. That's 100 bags. You're gonna be walking around with 100 bags because
you can accept it.
Definitely you're gonna carry it.
Well,
you're not just gonna drop that bag off.
Well, I think what Lawrence is saying is that like he deals with his emotions when it happens.
Yeah.
So you don't bring that to the next one.
There's no baggage because you deal with it as it comes.
Right. Baggage would be if you get your heart broken and then you don't trust women no more and you don't let women get close to you. You deal with them, but you don't let them get close to you because you're like, oh, nah, she not finna play me.
Yeah.
That's what the baggage.
You speaking from the soul. Huh?
What if you are like you get your heart broken by a woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
You get your heart broken by a woman, and you start dating someone else. No, better. Let's go ahead and say you get your heart broken by a black woman. Let's say a black woman.
Okay.
And then you date another black woman.
Okay.
And you notice a pattern. You notice a pattern of how your heart got broken with the first woman that the second one is starting to do.
Red flags.
Like
you're noticing red flags.
But what I'm saying is like, dang it, why this was my thought? Because I was really getting somewhere.
Oh.
No, because I mean, like, would that be a
trigger?
Dang, like, okay, because we were talking about
baggage.
Like,
so bringing the baggage into the next relationship. You're saying if you see those qualities,
would that be
in the woman,
that be bringing baggage in, or would that be bringing baggage in a relationship? Like, are you just traumatized, or are you just playing it safe? Are you being smart and going ahead and in a relationship?
Okay, I would say if you run into that situation, my question to you is, did you talk to this woman about your past relationships? Because if you let her know in the beginning, okay, this is what I went through, I don't want to go through that again. Communicating what are your dislikes and likes in a relationship. What are you willing to do? What are you not willing to do? And if you've explained that to her and she still acts that way, no, I don't think it's a problem for you to walk away. But sometimes men don't talk about their past relationships and don't tell us what girls did to them in the past. And then when they see it happen with another girl, they just go out the door. They ghost us. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it's like, well, what did I do? I didn't know. How was I supposed to know that was going to trigger you? So
yeah,
I guess yes and no. It's like making sure that you communicate that with the girl that you're dealing with before just up and leave,
But you can't communicate if you're not vulnerable. Mm-hmm. You don't see it as an important thing.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
Lauren said it.
Yeah, but I mean, how can you be vulnerable? I mean,
that's communication.
Like literally being vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
Like opening up the door to somebody in the beginning it's a very
scary.
It's hard.
It's scary. Detrimental.
I need you to say that it's scary because that's what it is.
No. It's not scary. It's just something. It's a potential of something going wrong. Like I know if I drink,
that's fear.
Wait, you're assuming that it's gonna go wrong. What if it goes the right way? And she says, you know what? I respect you. Whatever the problem is, the issue that you had with the last girl. Like she says, I'm gonna be mindful that I won't do that to you. And then that's the end of the conversation. Then you can move on. Not saying you got to open up to her the first date. You gradually.
You crying at the dinner table.
Have you talked to a dude? You thought he was attractive and everything. You went out and he expressed his. Well, I mean that's different. You're a therapist. But I mean,
no. I've experienced both sides though. I've experienced very emotional men. Okay. And I've experienced very cold, like don't express anything type of men. So I've been on both sides. Medium. Yeah. It's a medium.
The expression that he gave, like let's say the expression that he gave you, just completely turned you off of him, and you just didn't want to talk to him anymore because the expression, because he opened up. Has that happened before?
Okay, yes, that's happened to me before. Where
Wait. I want to add to that.
Okay.
Was it just because he was expressive, or is it what he was expressive about? Like you understand what I'm saying? Like it's not the fact that he was expressive, or was it the fact that he?
Okay, see, it's different for me, right? So I like talking about my emotions. So I'll talk about my emotions, and then sometimes the guy will, sometimes he won't. But I've dealt with guys who are always expressing their emotions to the point where I feel like heavy, like I'm an empath, so I'm gonna feel whatever the person I like. I'm gonna feel if they feel bad, I'm gonna feel bad. So it got to the point where it's like I can't really listen to you just not complain, but like pour into me emotionally every time we talk, and expect me to be happy with this situation because now I feel like you putting all your burdens on me. And it's like, you don't have any homeboys you could talk to. You don't have nobody else that you could talk to. Like, it's only me. So I get what he's saying. But at the same time, you just have to build a friendship. That's what it is. People don't build friendships no more. They just start, I like them. I want to fuck. Oh, I want to. Sorry, mom and dad. I want to mess with them, so we start talking, but don't build a friendship. So then you start sleeping with somebody and dealing with them, but you don't know them emotionally. You don't know them. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So then that's when those problems arise, and it's like I can't be vulnerable with her. Like I've only known her for 2 weeks, even though we slept together already. It's just, oh man, that's another episode. Hold on.
But I think that would make sense because in the beginning, Clyde, you said. You have your wife, like you said, I could be vulnerable with my wife, like, that's cool, that's fine. I think that would be more evidence.
But she still ain't seen me cry. You know what I mean?
That's a personal, that's a personal issue.
But there's not much to cry about. I've kind of, we're near 31. Like, I've kind of built this strength to not cry about small things. Like, if we have a funeral or something, like, okay, that's acceptable. But, I mean, what am I going to cry about? Like, what is there to cry about?
I don't want to say, like, obviously, I'm not going to mandate when people cry. That's up to you. But I think if you only have one person that you're vulnerable with, that is potentially dangerous to that relationship because like if I didn't have my boys and I had a wife and I was like super closed off to the world like Kanye and I was like super closed off to the world but my wife knew A to Z like everything I think that would be dangerous to my relationship with her just because why like throwing everything on one person like all of my everything, no therapist, no real friends, no nothing.
It might be too much for her to
handle. That's like one person, just all my burdens.
I want to bring up another thing that he said. He says, not much to cry about. Like, I've just built up this strength. And I want to throw in a little curveball. Is that strength or is that being numb? Because people who deal with a lot of trauma, they sometimes deal with it by becoming numb to it. So they don't even feel anything towards it. So I'm asking, do you feel like that's you being numb to it or that's actual strength? Because I feel like you said earlier, strength is dealing with it and, speaking about it and moving on.
Right.
But just not showing anything, that sounds more like numbness to me.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to not show anything. I mean, I'm just not going to cry about it. I mean, if there's a problem and if I can fix it, I'm going to fix it. But if there's nothing I can do about it, why am I going to cry about it? You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like, what is crying going to do? Like,
it's a release. It's a release.
I don't really feel like I get that from crying.
I mean, there are social things that.
What do you get when you cry? Just curious. I want to know.
It's been a minute.
It's been a minute.
It's been a minute. But it's crazy though, because since I've been with my wife, like That's certain, because she cried when we watch a movie. There's certain things. We'll be watching a movie, and it'll almost catch me, but I won't let the tears fall. You know what I mean?
So that sounds like you're holding it back. You're not allowing yourself to feel it. So you don't even remember the last time you actually cried? Like, really just let yourself cry?
6 years ago.
6 years ago. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, 6 years ago. Yeah, my cousin died. He got killed, and I got a call at work. And I was in the truck, and they told me what happened, and like I broke down crying.
Okay.
Yeah, by myself in the truck.
Okay, you're by yourself, because I know you said you won't do it in front of everybody else. But yeah, I guess. Ah, man.
What's like a way that people can deal with? Because I remember I wasn't, when you said numb, I was kind of like, for a while I was numb, but I'll never forget this. It was election night, and like politics.
Wait, which election?
The 2016 election.
Oh, okay.
Politics are like very, like, I see how it molds everything, like politics and our society.
Right.
So like seeing like social implications of people voting for Trump hurt me, because I'm like, dog, we share a church together. We share all these things, and you're voting literally for my marginalization. You're voting to harm me. And I felt that way. I remember when he won, the people that celebrated and the people that I seen like jovial for like essential oppression of Muslims, Mexicans, black people, yada yada. I remember I didn't even know, but I was crying. Like I felt my face. I was like, "Why's my face wet?"
Oh,
and I was crying. Like I was like, it was like an overwhelming turn of emotion. So I know how being numb feels, and I know eventually
it's gonna come up in something. That's my biggest point.
You ain't gonna hold it.
You can hold it in all you want, but it's gonna come out in some shape, way, or form.
Or anger.
It might not be in tears. It might not be in expressing yourself or talking about it. It might be in anger. It might be in the way you cope with those feelings that you have. Yeah. Whether that's in a I won't say.
You look right at the camera.
I know, because I wanted to say, like, a lot of y'all be smoking weed, and it's like it's cool. Like, okay, weed is legal, that's cool, whatever. But it's just like, I feel like that's a coping skill, that a lot of black men have, so they don't have to, they don't have to feel it. Yeah. They could numb themselves from it, and alcohol too. Like, when they're going through something, like, man, I need a drink, I need, what I'm saying, and I mean. I just. Oh, go ahead.
That's crazy, because that's why I stopped smoking. Like I just, first off, I was like, oh, I need this job, and then I was like, then after a while, like when I had time off and everything, I really didn't have the urge to smoke, because I didn't really feel like, I felt like life, life. And I might not have that house that I expected to have and stuff like that, but I'm kind of on this natural high with my family. You know what I mean?
So things were going well, so you didn't feel the need to do that, right?
Yeah, because it could be as simple as just having love in the home. You know what I mean? It's I just don't really feel the need to smoke like that. You know what I mean?
Like, I think it's when it was a coping mechanism.
I'm fine with it. But, I mean, that used to be my thing. I used to wake up in the morning with a blunt. That used to be my thing. But it was crazy, because I read this meme the other day, and they said crying is testosterone leaving from the body.
What?
See, this is what I'm talking about. This is why I had to make this episode, because I see stuff like that. I'm like, are you for real?
That's anti-emotional propaganda.
Are you for real right now?
Crying.
Oh man. Well, let's hope that we can educate and encourage black men to be vulnerable with somebody. It ain't gotta be your homeboys. It ain't gotta be your brother or whatever. If it's your wife, that's okay. If it's your girl, that's okay. If it's your homeboys, that's okay. Yeah. If you don't want to talk about it and you want to journal and write it down, that's okay. As long as you're getting that out. so that you don't hold that in and it turn into something ugly or something nasty or anger or, you know, a dependence on substance or anything like that. So that's what the whole reason why, you know, I started this podcast and I want to do this episode. It's like, let me understand, why is it so hard to be vulnerable? Why is it so hard to let those emotions show? Why is it so hard to cry? What goes into that? And how can I, you know, connect with Black men better, like when I'm treating them or when I'm dealing with them? What can I look out for? And I think one thing that I'll say to women is just not to push that emotional, you know, like showing the emotions when you're dealing with a man. Like, try not to push that onto him, because they have to do it in their own time. And I had to learn that the hard way, like dating somebody and they weren't very expressive emotionally. And, you know, I used to try to ask them questions to get that emotion out, and they would just like shut down. And it's like, you have to let that person come out and show their emotions in their own time. You can't force that process. But before because we don't have much time left, I wanted you guys to, you know, shout out your podcast that you guys have and where to follow you guys.
All right, for sure. So we have a podcast as well. It's Unk and Neph every Wednesday at 7:30. And it's really just both of us talking about, you know, a topic's either something happened during a week, you know, like a hot topic, or one of our own pick topics. So, you know, we're on Facebook, Unk and Neph. We're on Instagram, Unk and Neph. You know what I'm saying? Just look us up. UNKANDNEPH. So look us up on every platform. 7:30 every Wednesday.
7:30 every Wednesday.
Pacific.
What's your guys' Instagram? If people want to follow you guys individually, what's your Instagram?
Mine is Lawrence0295. So it's just my name.
Okay.
LAW, not LAU. And then 0295. And what's yours, Clyde?
Mine is G Woods. G Woods. Capital G.
Capital G.
G Woods? Is that what you said?
Woods, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, G Woods.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for joining me today. Given that, you know, Black male perspective, we got both sides of it. We got the emotional side and we got the tough side. Yeah. You know, take it to the chin, like he said. we got both sides, which is good, and I'm glad, you know, to learn more about Black men and how they process their emotions. And I'm really happy that Lawrence is here. You know, Lawrence saved the day today. Okay. But thank you guys for joining me, and thank you to the listeners for tuning in. And we are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and also YouTube. And follow us at What's Good With You, and it's _ What's Good With You. And you know, tell us your feedback. What did you think about this episode? Comment, subscribe to our pages, rate us, you know, all that good stuff. Thank you for tuning in, and this is What's Good With You.